What is up, Rumblers? It's me. I'm back. Tim is healthy. It's all good. Tim is healthy. No need to fear. No need to be calling for FOA requests to make sure the government doesn't have him captive. He is healthy. He's good. But, you know, we're moving things around. There's so much happening here at Timcast. There's so many events. We have these live events. We have the Boonies skate events. There's so much going on that he asked me today to hold it down for the Thursday live show. And I'm like, you guys know who I am at this point. I think they'll be okay with it. Are you guys okay with it? I hope so. If not, you know, maybe just let me operate a little bit. Let me cook. I've said this before. I've made this plea. You know, I see some of you holding your mouse above the X button. You're about to close out, and I don't think that's right. I think you should enjoy the show because we have a huge show today. We have some really big stories. I mean, the big one, and it just dropped like right before the show, was a report. The Daily Wire actually was first on it. I think they were the first on it. Is the DOJ is looking to ban transgenders from owning guns. I don't know if you are much of a news junkie, but as you've seen recently, they're not the most responsible gun owners. It's a huge problem. We'll break it down a little more. We also have Gavin Newsom, the love affair. The Democrats' love affair with Gavin Newsom is getting a little weird. It's getting a little creepy. The glazing's a little out of control. So we're going to get into that as well. We also had this report that the Trump advisors are discussing giving Curtis Sliwa, Eric Adams, New York mayoral candidates, thinking about giving them a gig in the White House to get them out of the way. So we'll break that down. We'll break down the status of Zoran, Mayor Zoran. It looks like it's going to be Mayor Zoran. So this is a nice effort from the White House to try and mitigate this as much as possible. And we're going to be joined at the half-hour mark by Viva Fry. He's going to come on. We'll discuss the DOJ consideration, deliberation, whatever you want to call it. We'll discuss that a little more. It's going to be a really good show. So you guys are in for a treat. So yeah, with that, I'm your host, Tate Brown, holding it down today for Tim Pool. I think maybe Tate Thursday. That could be a good potential name. We'll workshop it. I have a suit on. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's a little too much for a noon live show.
For a Thursday show.
For a Thursday, it's not like I'm working at a bank or anything. I was gonna go to. I've been at NatCon this week. If a few people said hello at NatCon. So it's really great to meet everyone. So I think I might pop by later today. We'll see. But yeah, I've been at NatCon. And a lot of great people there, a lot of great speeches. I would recommend checking their Twitter feed to see the status of conservatism in America. We're actually seeing some really good stuff coming out of NatCon's great. A bunch of high IQ patriots there. But yeah, with that Tate Thursday, we'll see. I don't know, maybe it'll be a thing. I don't know. Are you guys okay with this? I think that'd be a lot of fun. Make it a thing, a Tate Thursday thing. So we'll see. I have producer Serge in the cut. He's holding it down, the GOAT. We him. We love him, Serge. He's the best. So with that, let's get into it. But first, we have our monster sponsors. You know it. You love it. Cast Brew Coffee. The best. Are you low energy? Are you a low energy panicking? I don't know. Maybe you need a little Casper down the hatch. Maybe they'll get you locked in. We got some great stuff. Unfortunately, the Alex Stein Primetime Grind is sold out.
Oh, really?
It's sold out. It says right here. It is what it is. But
show last week.
It's true. Yeah, as you can tell, it works.
Yeah, it clearly works.
It clearly works. So with that's indicative of the quality of the Cast Brew brand, that it can just really elevate the human experience. It's an amplifier, an upper, if you will. Disavow. With that, we have Appalachian Nights. This is my go-to blend because it's as dark as pitch. I mean, it is, You know what they say, when you go black, you can't go back, right? This is what they say, specifically when it comes to coffee. This is true in other regards as well in my life. I won't get into that. This isn't a therapy session, but I definitely rings true with coffee, and I'm willing to admit that. I am a black coffee enjoyer. Black coffee matters. We also have the 1776 signature blend from the Josie special. We have a lot of great stuff here. We have a low acidity blend. Which one is that, Serge? Which is the low acidity?
It's Ian's Graphene Dream.
Ian's Graphene Dream. This thing's like a smash hit. I say it all the time. It's true. I was stunned at the live show to see that stuff just flying off the shelves. People, I mean, it looked like a FEMA camp. People were diving over each other. They're fighting Charlie. I saw one guy he bought a skateboard just to hit Charlie over the head with it to get some Ian's Graphene. I mean, it was absolute pandemonium. It looked like Hurricane Katrina over there. It was crazy. So, luckily, you can just buy it online. I don't think the people there realize that. You can just buy it online.
You can just buy it.
We will just mail it to your house if you buy it. It's really not that complicated. So get you some Cast Brew. We also have Boonies. Boonies is, Boonies stock is really high right now. I'm not going to lie. Boonies is taking off.
We saw a lot of skateboards.
Sold a lot of skateboards. The skate event was sick.
Yep.
And this is me. I'm a layman, right? I don't know anything about skating. I've been known to watch, little Rob Dyrdek every here and there,
Yeah.
I've been known for that. But beyond that, and a little Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 was, that was instrumental in my life. Is a classic, as Serge says. But I don't know. It's been just sick to learn. I'm just learning firsthand. And the skate event was amazing. You got to go over to the Boonies YouTube, and I think it's on Rumble as well, but I know for sure it's on YouTube, to check out the skate event. It was really, really cool. They played games of skate. It's kind of like horse, but for skate tricks.
Next one next week.
Next one's next week. There we go. So just lock in. It's fantastic stuff. And head over to Boonies, shop.boonieshq.com, and grab you a board. We talk about it all the time. There's some great boards. We have the uncancelable board. If you know the story, you know the story. We're reclaiming this logo because it was cancel culture. It was one of the first victims in the skating world of cancel culture. And we have the Be Gay and Don't Be Gay boards. Obviously, Milo has some interesting thoughts on the selection that you have an option. So it's really a beautiful thing. A lot of great boards on there. So head on over to Boonies and get you a board. Just do it, man. This is great stuff. And $55 for just a high quality board. Even if you're not a skater, it could be like a wall ornament. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, with that, I digress. Let's get into the first story. This was Mary Margaret Olohan reported this. I think I got her last name right, Olohan. Breaking. The Justice Department is deliberating banning guns for transgenders as part of a range of options blocking mentally unstable individuals from committing acts of violence. The Daily Wire has learned. Story to come. She followed up with a little more info here. I'm told that a senior DOJ official said, discussing the matter, quote, "We're not playing semantics with word like dysphoria. We're talking about, it's YouTube friendly, transgenders, and we don't think they should have guns." And it's so true, and it's so base that a senior DOJ official is saying this, because it is so true. As we saw, look, you saw it last week. It was really, really tragic thing. I actually covered it on the show. Horrible stuff. And again, this happened again. This isn't just a one-off thing. This is a pattern of mentally disturbed transgender people taking it out on just good, normal people, taking their pain and their anger and their dysphoria and inflicting it on the public. We got to nip it in the bud. The patience ran very thin, and it's just, I think we're all relieved to see that the DOJ is doing something about it. This was last week. Obviously, a refresher was in Minneapolis. Obviously, a transgender. It was a man. He was born a man, and he still is a man, and his bones will indicate that he's a man. He went into a Catholic school or a Catholic church that was hosting a mass that was attended by kids from the local school, the Annunciation Church, and fired through the stained glass and killed people and maimed people, children. Horrible stuff. Shocked the conscience of Americans to some degree. We're also kind of used to it and desensitized, but we're starting to realize now in the Trump era that you can do things about this. You don't just have to take this stuff lying down. This was yesterday. This was from the Post Millennial. LGBTQ, activists protest J.D. Vance as he and Usha visit Minnesota. Usha's the second lady. Pay respects to Catholic school children murdered by trans killer. I'll read here. Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance visited the Annunciation Catholic Church and School on Wednesday, which 1 week ago was the site of a mass shooting that saw the deaths of 2 children after trans-identified gunman Robert, quote, Robin Westman, that's his moniker, Robin, his name's Robert, opened fire on the school's first mass of the year. Jeez. The Vances were seen laying flowers outside the building among a sea of other bouquets and arrangements, while Usha Vance wore black and J.D. Vance making the sign of the cross as they stood together. Obviously, J.D. Vance is a Catholic, so this hit close to home for him. I believe they're raising their children Catholic as well. So, I've spoke to a lot of Catholics over the last week and Christians in general. Just really disturbing that you can send your kids to school and not know if you're going to see them at the end of the day. It's really just horrifying times we live in. I'll play a little of the video here of the Vice President and Second Lady arriving, obviously with the flowers to pay homage and mourn the victims. So we see here, right? And you see here, obviously, the arrangements up along the sidewalk here, and there's other shots, and it's everywhere. There's the community, obviously, just shattered, heartbroken. It's just horrific stuff, and yeah. So this is obviously a really somber but touching moment. Obviously, this is something that is there's a degree of sacredness and seriousness and somberness. But of course, and we see here, there's some more coverage from the event. The two students lost were 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel and 10-year-old Harper Moisky. Rest in peace. But, of course, with the left and their fantastic optics, here we go. Outside the church, protesters were heard shouting, quote, "You're a coward. Protect our kids and do better, Advance." And the group was seen flying a pride flag. So the flag of the group that was obviously one of their people perpetrated the shooting. We'll play the video here. This is from Dustin Grage.
Protect our kids! Do this for our children! Protect our kids! Do better!
Right. So it's just like,
Do better!
What?
it's absolutely mental.
Dude, the plot is gone, man.
I mean, look at these freaks. Look at these people. They will not let these children rest in peace without inflicting and imposing their, it's not even political. It's just like, it's another form of mental instability without inflicting this on the public and inflicting this on Vice President J.D. Vance, as he's simply there to pay respect. There's nothing political about his showing up. I mean, that's just what you do. I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, he's a Catholic, so this especially hits close to home for him. Here, Vance wrote after his visit, quote, "I just left Minneapolis, where I was honored to meet with a number of grieving families and hear about their beautiful children, in particular Harper and Fletcher, who died in the Annunciation school shooting. I also met another beautiful girl who is recovering well. Thank God for that. We discussed a lot, but all the families had a couple of immediate requests. First, to pray for Sophia, who continues to fight for her life every day. Yes, please pray for Sophia. Pray for her health, pray for her swelling to be controlled, and pray for the strength for her parents, doctors, and nurses." There's these beautiful children here that are no longer with us because of our enabling of these mental disorders as a society. So horrible stuff. He said that there is a, quote, "mental health crisis in the U.S., noting that Americans, quote, take way more psychiatric medication than any other nation on earth. And I think it is time for us to start asking some very hard questions about the root causes of this violence." So if you saw the show Thursday, we had I'll say a mental health expert, right? Naomi Best. She's fantastic. She's been on the Culture War before. And I mean, she really is. There's not many people that are more in the know on this kind of stuff, that are bold enough to actually say what's happening. There's a lot of people that know the industry, right? But a lot of them have biases that want to sort of reinforce the system and reinforce the status quo. Naomi is not one of them. She's very clued in on what's going on here. And she reiterated this. I mean, she, obviously she's a bit hesitant to make these bold, widespread declarations, but she definitely laid out the problem in a very great way. So I would recommend, it's on the Rumble show from Thursday, or if you're watching elsewhere, it's on YouTube on the Culture War channel. And the psychiatric medication, they're handing these things out left and right. You just need a pulse, really, to get a prescription for these kinds of things. She even explained the situation where people are able to get these things online, right? Like it's just absolutely out of control, and it's frying Americans' brains. And beyond that, now the DOJ is doing something about it, right? I mean, this is always the critique from the left, and this is what, of course, but the majority of Democrats were saying. Jacob Frey, what is his name, the mayor, and Waltz, they get up and they say, "Oh, thoughts and prayers. What is that going to do?" Right? We want to see action. But the problem is, we actually know what to do, which is investigate these psychiatric medications being distributed in mass. And, and also the DOJ now saying maybe it's not a good idea for mentally unstable people with a very high rate of suicide to have guns.
True.
What
gave it away?
Yeah, what gave it away, right? And so it's like, okay, thoughts and prayers. We're offering thoughts and prayers, which is ultimately the most important thing, because that is, prayer is a very powerful tool. But in addition, we're implementing solutions, we're providing solutions, and this is one of them. And this is something that'll nip this crap in the bud to a large degree. Is get these guns out of these people's hands. They're just clearly mentally unstable. And look, I understand there's a lot of Second Amendment purists out there that are very skeptical of any sort of legislation involving guns. It's totally understandable, and they have the right to be skeptical. I mean, the last 30, 40, 50 years even, the government's relationship with the 2A community has obviously been quite frosty. They like to create pretenses to establish gun control and punish well-to-do gun owners. But I would make the argument that this is not the case. This is not targeting well-to-do gun owners. This is targeting people that, quite frankly, should be institutionalized. People that are institutionalized don't have access to guns. And if we can't quite get institutionalization for these people across the finish line, this is a good start, right? This is just a step in that direction, is slowly taking away the tools that they use and the mechanisms that they use to inflict harm on Americans. Because, I pointed it out last week. You just have a lot of people in this country that have nothing to lose, and we just have to sit around and twiddle our thumbs waiting for one of them to snap, which seems to be happening more and more. It's what happened last week in Minneapolis, is one of them just decided to snap one day. We need to get serious about it. And so it's very refreshing that the DOJ is deliberating this, and I do think that they wouldn't let this get out, right, unless they we're serious about it, as they should be, because those two children would likely be with us if there was if as a country we took this transgender madness a bit more seriously and rightfully so, nip this in the bud, as I said earlier. So with that, we'll stay tuned, right? I mean, maybe we'll get some action. We'll get like a release from the DOJ, a statement of some sort of what their plans are, how they'll implement this. Again, like I said earlier, if you're a 2A, and so am I, right? I mean, the 2A should not be touched, shall not be infringed. It's clear. But we do need to institutionalize these people, and right, this is what part of the institutionalization is going to look like. This is what you got to do. You can't let mentally unstable, suicidal people possess weapons when they clearly say over and over again that they just want to harm you. Right? They just want to harm you. You don't give someone a weapon when they openly say that they want to harm you. Again, if you doubt that, look at the reaction on Reddit to this shooting, and you're not going to see thoughts and prayers. You're going to see quite the opposite. You're going to see celebration and joy. So grim stuff. Yep. Grateful for the DOJ that they're taking a look at this and heavily considering it. And the senior DOJ official, whoever you are, very based. Keep up the good work. But with that, we'll shift gears to our second story. Let's get into this one first. This one's really interesting. This was the Post-Millennial reporting here. Breaking Trump advisors discuss giving Sliwa and Adams admin jobs to clear path for Cuomo win. Report. And I'll read here. This was Hayden Cunningham of the Post-Millennial. President Donald Trump's advisors have discussed the possibility of offering New York City Mayor Eric Adams a position in the administration as a way to reduce the chances of Democrat Socialist candidate Zohran Mamdani winning the city's upcoming mayoral election. According to the New York Times, the talks have also included the idea of giving Curtis Sliwa, the Republican candidate, a spot in the administration. This move would be aimed at boosting former Governor Andrew Cuomo's chances against Mamdani by clearing the field. The Times reported that discussion within the Trump circle about such a plan goes back weeks. While it remains uncertain what the plan will be moving forward, the issue has gained urgency as the New York City mayoral race heads into its final stretch before the November election, which is rapidly emerging. I don't think people realize it's right around the corner. November in general, there's a lot, obviously, midterms. Trump intermediaries have been in touch with Adams' team about the possibility of him dropping out of the race. One source said that talks were going in, quote, several different directions. Trump associates have also spoken about whether Sliwa would be interested in a federal position, despite his long history of saying he has no interest in working in D.C. Obviously, some of New York's real estate executives expressed concern over a potential Mamdani victory, fearing that he would bring in anti-business policies in the city. However, Republicans in D.C. are warm on a Mamdani victory, believing it could help paint the Democratic Party poorly leading up to the midterm elections. As if the Democrat Party has like excellent PR right now. This would be just a self-imposed L. Democrats love Mamdani, right? Like half the country is, whether you like it or not, is going to warm up to this guy because that's just the way the media machine works. It's about shifting the Overton window in the same way that Trump and the Trump admin are able to shift the Overton window to the right. Guys like Zoran Mamdani are able to shift the Overton window within the Democrat Party to the left. All that's going to happen with a Mamdani victory is it's just going to create more room for people like him in the Democrat Party. That's all that's going to happen. You're not going to have this mass awakening where people realize that, oh, these policies don't work, because it's not about the policies. It's about what he signifies. It's about what he what message he sends, broadly speaking. So, I mean, that's just a self-imposed L, really. You gotta set the tone with these types of things. You gotta take. I mean, and I've made this point before with New York. It's like, look, New York City's changed. Cuomo really epitomizes 20th century New York, right? Italian, kind of more old school Democrat in some ways. He's from Queens, has a very thick New York accent. And you have Zoran, who, just by his accent alone, could be from anywhere in the country. His name is ambiguous, right? Even, people have no idea he's from Uganda, but he's Indian. People don't know what's going on. It's just a lot of vague. He's just vaguely not American. That's the only way to really put it. And there's a lot of people like that in New York City in the 21st century. Half of Queens, New York, Andrew Cuomo's home borough, and Donald Trump's home borough, are foreign born. Half. I mean, New York City has dramatically, people say, okay, it's always been a hub of immigrants. Really, that's only been the case in the 20th century. It is a heavily transplant city. So, I mean, you have immigrants and you also have transplants from around the country. So it does have a lot of churn to it. But New York had a very identifiable culture, had a very identifiable ethos and the way it carried itself. As Donald Trump pointed out, you saw what those New York values were on 9/11 when you saw the brave men of the FDNY and men and women of the FDNY charge up the towers. That really epitomizes what New York values are. But it's looking increasingly so that that's what New York values were. Because if you take a walk around Queens or even Brooklyn, and at this point it's looking like this way in Manhattan, is you're going to see more and more Zorans and less Andrew Cuomo's, less and less Donald Trump's for that matter. I mean, Donald Trump's home neighborhood, Jamaica Estates, I actually lived in Jamaica Estates when I attended school in Queens. Nothing resembling what Donald Trump grew up in. There's been a huge churn of people there, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It feels increasingly foreign, increasingly less American. And the stock of immigrants that came to New York City previously came, there's problems, right? I mean, you had the mafia, organized crime, these sorts of things, but generally it was much easier to assimilate them, right? They were coming from Italy, Ireland. They were coming from, Eastern Europe, Germany. Trump himself, his grandparents on his father's side are German, and his mother was a migrant from Scotland. Someone with that background is going to have a much easier time assimilating to the United States, which has this European culture to it, and Christianity as its religion, than a guy named Zoran Mamdani from Uganda, who knows what his religion is, but, it's neither here nor there. He's Muslim, I think, vaguely Muslim.
Vaguely.
Yeah. So he's probably one of those guys. You meet these Muslim guys, and they do everything under the sun. Knock back a Corona, but then if you offer them some bacon, they come unglued. Right. Yeah. So
brother.
One of those guys. If you've been in a city in the last 10 years, you've met a lot of these types. So polling not looking great. Mamdani up double digits, just about every poll you look at. Siena has him at 44%. The American Pulse researching has him at 37%. So he's not anywhere near 50%. So right, I mean, you can see the calculus that the White House is running here, right? Which is, okay, you get Cuomo out, you get Sliwa out, you get Sliwa and Eric Adams out, chuck that 28% of Cuomo's, that gets you above 50%. That gets Cuomo across the finish line. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You're going to have the same problem in 4 years. You keep Zoran out. It's like New York City's changed. The country's changed. Jack Posobiec, he talked about this at the NatCon convention I spoke about earlier, which was a great convention. I'm just gonna play. This was a really good soundbite from him. I'm gonna play his thoughts on Zoran and why this isn't just a one-off thing. Like, he just kind of happened to slip through the cracks. I'll play. I'll let Jack explain this.
Look at the propaganda. It's everywhere. And it's very simple. But we can see when a great city like New York, our greatest city, is on the precipice of being run by a Zoran Mamdani, I think we realize that something has gone absolutely wrong and something has to give. Because as I stand here today, we are less than 10 years away from one of America's great cities being run by a Muhammad. We know it's coming, we can call it out, and it is time to say enough is enough, something has to give. These people are not American, they do not want to be American, they do not want to assimilate, and they are not interested in assimilation. And I say, if they don't want to be part of this country, they can go home.
So true. So true. That was really concise, excellent way to put it. And it's true. It's like, if you doubt this, if you are part of the way of the way of thought that was outlined in the Post Millennial article, which as well, you know, it'll be a good way to teach New York a lesson. Like, this is what you get. And it's a great way to show, you know, the American electorate how crazy the Dems have gotten. Ask a British person, ask an Englishman how that worked out for him, because London, they elected Sadiq Khan, right? I don't know how brushed up you are on British politics and UK politics. They got this guy into London. You know, London's had some lefty mayors, but this guy's more than a lefty, Sadiq Khan. He's a ethno-nationalist for foreigners, vaguely. I mean, like, okay, he's Muslim, right? He's of Middle Eastern extraction, but he really just goes to bat for anyone that's not English. That's the reality of the situation. If you look at his rhetoric in the UK, like, for example, when London had a spree of huge terrorist attacks, every single time he would come out and he wouldn't say this is terrible. Like, as Muslims, we need to have a conversation about the radicalization in our community or whatever. He came out and would just run defense every single time and would say, like, oh, why are people being so mean to Muslims? Like, we need to be nicer to them. You know, they're under attack. They feel victimized. It's like, we feel victimized because you just completely took over a city. I mean, just look at a demographic breakdown of London over the last 70, 80 years, and you're going to see it go from, like, Bill Maher talked about this. Bill Maher talked about how in the 70s and 80s, when it was like almost entirely English, and to an extent Irish, he talked about how it was just a completely different city, and he used food as his metric to see how the city's changed. Usually these diversity lovers, food is really their only talking point they have, is say, well, you get more food options. But I think when people are getting stabbed on bridges and blown up left and right, you know, a kebab can only do so much to calm the nerves with that sort of thing. And New York City's looking down the barrel of the same thing. Again, New York City's had some lefty mayors. There's no doubt about that. Bill de Blasio was, you know, effectively a socialist. He's certainly a Marxist in his thought. But this is a different breed. This is a different animal with Zoran, because he views Americans that have been here, Americans that are here, he views them as an enemy, and he views them as sort of a roadblock for what he's trying to create, what his sort of new Americans are trying to create, the new America they're trying to create, which just won't be America at all. It's just going to be the third world, infused with some Marxism and Islam or whatever. But it really is just anti-American. That's all it is fundamentally. So yeah, I mean, totally agree with Zoran is Jack on Zoran is. This shouldn't just be a moment of like, let's rally the troops and keep them out. This should be a moment of introspection and a moment where we look nationwide, have a nationwide conversation on what sort of people are we bringing to this country and what are we allowing? And it's the same thing, the same conversation with the DOJ. It's like, what are we allowing to happen? Because, you know, principles, it's good to be principled. There's no question about it. But at a certain moment when your country's facing extinction, when America's facing a complete change, we need to have a national conversation. We need to, like Jack said, realize that something has gone absolutely wrong and that something has to give. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this first portion of the show. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, the interview with Viva Frei will be up on the Culture War channel at 4 p.m. Again, thanks for watching. We'll be back tonight for Timcast IRL at 8 p.m. Connor Tomlinson's on the show. I'll be on as well, but you got to hear Connor. If you don't know Connor, he's an absolute legend. He can probably explain, he's a Londoner, so he can explain what Sadiq Khan's done, and he can give us some forewarnings on what Zoran, a little preview of what Zoran's New York would look like. So thanks for watching. We'll be back for Timcast IRL.